Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rockingham County Commissioners meeting of September 12, 2024. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In attendance, we have Commissioner Coyle.
Good morning.
Commissioner Cherichello.
Good morning.
And myself. We're a board of three. That's 100% attendance. And we will move directly into RFP openings and awards and begin with item number 2, the multi-roof replacement repairs.
I move to award the proposal for multi-roof replacement repairs and PMs to Triumph Roofing Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $169,155 as recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just that for everyone out there, they were in Zoom land and who might watch this later, this was the lowest bid overall. There's some variation based on which building, but overall came in below or at what the lowest numbers were at. And yeah, that's about it. We're happy to it's good to get roofs repair work to stay on top of that. I think one thing I like to say, Jude, you do such an amazing job, like balancing all the work that has to be done across the complex. Just the management and organization of making sure, each year these various projects get done. It's sort of mind boggling to me, but they really do just an amazing job with it. So thank you. We have a good team.
Further discussion? Okay, Commissioner Cherichello?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Next is the ductless splits with heat pump.
I move to award the proposal for ductless splits and heat pump to Lounge Service in HVAC for an amount not to exceed $13,250 as recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT.
Second.
Discussion?
I just have a quick discussion. I mean, we've talked about this before and like the real need for it over at the delegation. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you. The delegation office. How many heads are they doing?
Three.
Wow,
Three,
that's
yeah.
great.
We're taking down a wall so that conference room isn't teeny anymore. They get a nice big conference room. So there'll be one there, one in the front and one in the side.
That's great.
It should be really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really good price for 3 heads.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Cherichello?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving to the consent agenda. We have meeting minutes to approve.
Move to approve the August 15th, 2024 public minutes and the August 22nd public and non-public meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion on the meeting minutes? Seeing no discussion, Commissioner Cherichello?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Authorizations on behalf of long-term care services.
I move to approve, well, this is
This is
informational.
just informational.
This is just a pro forma now
Oh.
that we have Chantel here.
We have a
for
second.
seconds, yeah, and so she's delegating her authority in her absence. So, well, it's just another example of we're happy you're here.
To be here.
Okay. Further discussion. Okay, let's move right on to payroll.
I move to approve the payroll expense in the amount of $1,436,449.36 for the period ending September 7th, 2024.
Second.
Discussion.
Right in line with where we've been in the last 4 payrolls, so it's nice to see that we've really settled into a rhythm at this point.
I appreciate having the payroll
Yeah.
numbers from the previous years right here, previous weeks, right on our agenda. That's been great since you started that.
It is, it's a real asset.
Okay. Commissioner Cherichello,
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
And I vote yes. Commissioner's office reports. Anybody have an update that they would like to share?
I don't have anything.
Okay, I don't have anything. All right, then we'll move right on to county attorney's office. Assistant county attorney, new hire.
I move to approve hiring an assistant county attorney pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 7:33F with approval from the Attorney General as recommended by the county attorney.
Second.
Any discussion on this hire?
Just a couple of questions. Pat, where does that put you for numbers for ACAs? I know there's some.
I want to say we still, I think there's one more position open, maybe two, actually.
I think it's one.
One, okay. And Pat, with respect to, I know we had some discussion about that open position and whether we were gonna fund it or, do you have a sense, and especially, and maybe we could have a discussion about this isn't really directly related to this particular hire, but a sense of how case numbers are coming in since the changes with felonies first or the removal of felonies first?
Yeah,
We had talked-
there's definitely been a reduction. There's been some reduction, yeah. I can tell you that. I don't know exactly. I don't have the numbers with me, but
Yeah. I was just gonna say, as we think about, perhaps we could talk about this going forward. I mean, it's a non-issue but with this last position, maybe we could get some of the data about comparative data for the first half of the year. Do you think that makes sense?
yeah, sure, I can do that,
Or
no
for 9
problem.
months? Yeah, just to see how it compares to year over.
Seeing no further discussion, Commissioner Chercello,
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle,
Yes,
and I vote yes. Travel and training request.
I move to approve a travel and training request for 3 county attorneys' office employees, PCMM and CE, to attend the New Hampshire Association of Counties Annual Conference held at the Omni Mount Washington Resort, November 11th and 12th, 2024, at an estimated total cost of $3,127.04 as recommended by the county attorney.
Any discussion on this travel and training request?
I'm happy to see so many people from the county attending. It's a really nice opportunity for both for within the departments, employees of the county to spend some time together, talk about countywide issues, as well as getting collaboration throughout the state and other counties. So
I agree, we're in good shape, and I think that Rockingham County will be well represented.
and maybe even win the county cup this year.
It's happened
That's gonna
before.
depend on us.
I've been practicing on cornhole, is that gonna help me?
Is it axe throwing again, Chuck? or-
We don't know, I don't think they've said, have they?
Usually cornhole is one of the ones, so usually we have pretty good luck with that, though my partner has retired for a couple of years, Lieutenant Marriott.
Okay,
Making his comeback tour.
on the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
Yes,
Commissioner Chercello.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, Department of Corrections inmate administrative transfer.
I move to approve an inmate administrative transfer dated September 6, 2024, transferring 1 inmate to Stratford County Department of Corrections pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 30-B21 as recommended by the superintendent.
Any discussion on this transfer? Seeing none, Commissioner Chercello,
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle,
Yes,
and I vote yes. All right, Finance Office, ARPA projects update. It's an infinite informational discussion.
I do have,
Who wants to lead?
I don't care.
Go ahead.
I have hard copies in case.
Thank you.
anyone wants to-
It is
Oh,
nice.
yeah, I'll take that. Thank you. It's a big spreadsheet.
Well, I guess my first comment is, Chuck, I mean, when we look at how much, we're down to $144,000 of, unobligated money, right? Money not yet obligated. And so really it's a credit to you. I know we went through, at one point and did, reorganize a little bit of money at the time when we were talking about how some of the PPP money and some of the things that we weren't gonna reach to, use all of, we reapportioned some of it. At this point, my suggestion is and I was wondering, could we just move, so it's like 144,000?
I'd just like to, I think, clarify. I'm seeing 1,144,000.
Is that much,
But
but
the
that's
money
just
for
the
the-
unobligated, the VOC not approved is where there's additional monies out of the 60 million that's not yet allocated for an approved project yet.
Oh, okay,
So
all
really,
right, so it's really not.
508 it's probably really the 508,226.
Okay,
We just, the big difference between the 1.1 million, 144 million, as far as what's been approved and not obligated is that we've got some, water infrastructure projects that we
Yeah.
just don't have the purchase orders yet. Cause we had like the consulting engineering PO for 96,200 or something like that for, okay, for Novus Engineering, but there'll be another like 800,000+ just for that project alone. That's the water main
Yeah.
replacement. Sorry, Tom.
No, no,
You got it.
But that makes up a good portion of that 1.144 million not approved but not obligated.
I thought that I'm sorry, maybe I fast forwarded because I just identified that 1 million as being already, that we know it's targeted, right?
Yes.
So we're talking about, I was, in reference to that 144,000, that's the money that we don't have identified for anything really specifically, right?
It's 508,000.
It's 500, okay,
It's the yellow. I highlighted in yellow
okay.
in the lower left.
So do you think that we should? I was just wondering if we should, I know we did partial funding at, the board approved amount of 4 million for category 1.4 for the new building. It seems like we could put it into that bucket and,
Yeah, we can talk to Harvey Construction, see if they have an updated estimated allocation, because what happened was, how the numbers got reallocated back in March, it was based on what Harvey thought that the major equipment was in case of 1.4. It's primarily, HVAC, it's the new amphitheater, because we're relocating the
yes,
public meeting place from
Out of
the
the
nursing
Hilton.
home,
yeah,
the nursing home and over there. And also, taking care of overcrowding issues as far as county attorney's office especially and this dispatch center. So, we could revisit those numbers.
I think,
What about the renovations that may need to be done to move corrections into the sheriff's office? They've not been happy with their space. And corrections is gonna move in, and I'm sure they'll be happy with having extra space, but it still might need some attention.
You could, but the problem is, that I don't think there's a COVID rationale per se, like under 1.4 is prevention, mitigation of COVID in dense worksite settings.
Yeah.
Or overcrowded residential settings.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't really fit into that. You can always use lost revenue, but the problem is.
Yeah.
That'd take away from monies allocated
That's
for labor and minor materials for the new building, so.
that's,
So you can always approve other additional lost revenue projects, but the total amount for lost revenue is not gonna change. You're just gonna reallocate the different
Correct.
projects and it's gonna be taken away from the new municipal building. But I understand, yes, as far
So
as.
do you think that we can put the rest of the money into the new municipal building?
well, that's why I was saying
Ye-
1.4, they could check on, because 1.4 could theoretically, that could go to the new building, but we would have to see if we could categorize it that way with the HVAC or some of the infrastructure that's specifically delineated for COVID related.
I'll say that we already know that from the original allocation and subsequent adjustments even. For building B, which is the community corrections, so mental health services and substance use services. We know that that's going way higher than their initial conservative estimates. So that's one spot
Yes.
where the monies could easily go. And actually what's happened for payment applications like 15 and 16, if it's passed. I've had to like reallocate those actual expenses over to being against the bond funds, not
Again, yeah,
against, the approved project.
yeah, so we
or
could
that.
theoretically 1.12 or.
The whole 508,000 could go to those two expense
That's great.
categories, and that would help fund the new building.
Yeah, that's exactly, I mean, whether it's 1.4, 1.12, 12, 13, whatever, I think maybe the broader stroke is if we could apply that to the building at this point, that seems like a good use of money spent.
I would agree with that approach. I just want to make sure we don't have to do anything else creative to use up these funds. I want to make sure we take full advantage of them.
Yeah, they're already, in a way, we already have it, the whole building cost fully obligated once the GMP came out,
Yeah.
so. Whether it was between capital fund or capital fund reserves, or from ARPA funds, from the contingent grant fund, it's all obligated, so. What I could do, if the board wishes, the allocation that we've done now between the mental health services and substance use services, building B.
Yeah.
Is that we've done it 50-50 as far as, so the same thing could be done with the 508,000 remaining, it just be divvied up between
Perfect.
those two if the board, that could be the simplest.
That would be my I would support that.
And when will we know the actual costs on the water projects?
The plans for the water mains are being finalized Friday. I should have that spec by Monday. You might remember we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I'm gonna ask Harvey to give us a price per change order.
Right? Yeah.
So that'll be getting handed straight over to Harvey.
So in the next few weeks.
In the next few weeks, the only thing that is kind of pending that is DOT's approval of the, all the work that needs to be done to close off that. The curb cuts up there by the engineering and maintenance building. If DOT moves on it, then Harvey will have those plans for pricing as well.
And what is the deadline for us to encumber all
The
of
end of
this?
the year.
Yeah, the calendar year.
End of this
Calendar
year?
December 24. But
Okay.
my point, and I was in response, which is we should hear back from DOT and Harvey by the end of the year.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, Harvey, I think on the water main, it should just be a couple of weeks, like you said, and then the other DOT,
a little longer.
yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, oh, well, that'd
That's
be
the
great.
thing, you don't know.
Okay,
We
But-
just don't want to put us in jeopardy, that's all.
right. I think the good news is, I mean, and this is why it's so great that we're having this discussion now, because we still have, 3 months to hone any additional details, but, knowing that, I guess to your point that 12 and 1.12 and 1.13 are, going, that those costs are coming in higher than expected. We can, if we can put this $500,000 there, if there's any overage from the water main project, we can dump it into there and we'll be in good shape. It's just nice to be at this place, to have a plan, to know that we will be all set to have everything obligated.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Commissioner Churchill.
Thank you. So Chuck, the 508, is that in the lost revenue column?
No, so the lost revenue column is already established because that was a separate cumulative effect of 4 individual lost revenue calculations. Again, thankfully, we did that annual calculation because even other counties that had more than 10 million of ARPA funds overall, they went ahead and took a default 10 million allocation to lost revenue instead of doing individual calculations.
All right.
We, Rockin County, I didn't do that, so we end up, maximizing the lost revenue portion, which is about just shy of 40 million of the 60.
Okay,
Gave it much more flexibility as usage of those funds.
so what's the number we have in the lost revenue column?
Well, so in the lost revenue column, if you look over on, sorry, on the page, but we've got like 50 projects going. If you look over on page 7 of 8 at the top.
Yeah.
It gives that leading row is the total of all lost
Oh,
revenue
yeah, yeah.
pieces. So 36,991,686 is the grand total approved. And then you'll see that basically only a small amount is not obligated at this time. It's just because there's approved projects, but we just don't have some of the purchase orders yet for
Okay.
them. So
All right, then correct me if I'm wrong. The lost revenue is basically ours to spend with no strings attached. We don't have to.
it's very.
If you were to go past December for some strange reason, we're not penalized, right? Because it's loss of revenue,
No, everything still has to be obligated.
still has to be obligated?
Yeah, it still has to be, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. But again, I don't think we're that far off. We only have 32,000. As far as it's not obligated and some of the things that we know we're gonna be able to have purchase orders for, like EV charging stations. We know we have some other employee
Yeah.
retention things that don't fall under, local business assistance.
right.
So and the other thing is really Ascom wireless upgrade. We know that, we're gonna have some expenses on that, and it looks like The only part that we might be able to allocate for something else is if we're not gonna end up utilizing any of the amount remaining for that, FEMA port security,
Yeah,
match.
that was my next question, like, once we get into like the December timeframe, is it gonna be more difficult to move money from category to category? If we're not gonna spend it in a certain category, can we move it? Because you're reporting, right? So are we frozen? Are we obligated to the drill down, side of things once December hits and we can't move those funds?
There's some movement you're allowed, but it does become more restricted.
Okay, so,
Admin fee stuff, you're able to have a little bit more leeway, but as you can see, that was, may have even dropped it off as a project, but it was something that was thought of by the opera committee for 150,000 administrative. Obviously, we probably incurred probably that much or more in actual internal labor for administering the funds.
Right.
But the reason why it's zero there is that it was better served being in other projects than, you know,
okay,
allocated labor.
did we move, I'm looking at, 1.2, the COVID testing, and we put $500,000 in there.
But we only approved $50,000.
Right.
That did change.
He changed it
That
to.
did
Oh, we already changed
Yeah.
it,
That was
okay.
March, yeah, so March,
You-
there were some changes.
Do you see that there's, in the first column, it says proposed, and then.
Where are you looking?
Okay, so see how this says 500,000, and this is updated board approved amount.
Right,
So that's the amount, we reduced it from 500 to
so
50,000.
where am I seeing the balance of this?
That got already moved.
We already
It's
moved it to different
represented,
categories?
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
All right, fine.
Primarily to new building related things
And
or water
so-
infrastructure.
Okay,
There's
Primarily.
another
HVAC got a
example
little.
of the
Yes, it
HVAC, so if you go to the bottom, 1.4A.
Yeah.
The ARPA committee originally was 3.9,
right,
and that
right,
moved to 4.3,
right.
so
Okay.
there's an example of.
All right, so to Commissioner Godu's point with the corrections, because the sheriff's moved, when the sheriff moves out, you know, there's gonna have to be some modifications, and as we all know, when you're doing these buildings, there's surprise things happen, things pop up. So I just wanna make sure that we, to the best of our ability, we can figure out, you know, a plan to make sure that we're gonna allocate those funds and spend those funds within that timeframe. And December's gonna come quick, so.
I just don't think that we need, I mean, I don't think we can, it's like the only place that you could theoretically use that would be lost revenue, right?
Right,
And because we have pretty much used up we've obligated most of the lost revenue, and then this like extra 500,000 can go to the new building with community corrections up. I think what we should do, you know, it would be ideal to work on that, but I don't think the monies are there. My
yeah,
suggestion is going forward that we reconvene in maybe the end of October or early November and just do a check-in. It shouldn't take particularly long, just to see where we are in the timeline for the water main project, as well as how by reapportioning that 500,000 between 12 and 13, where we are with, if there's anything else that we need to take on.
I'd probably suggest either the first or second, first or second, BOC meeting in November, because
Yeah.
I will have already done the third quarter filings with the feds
Oh.
for quarter ending 9/30. That's due at the end of October, so first or second meeting in November. I would-
Yeah.
and,
I suggest.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My last question will be, for Jude and Jason, Henry. Have we started looking at what modifications you're gonna need over there for space? I mean, I know we could probably make do for a while, but it sounds like, you know, we're gonna have to use future money to make some of those modifications. I just don't know.
We have started talking about it. I
Okay.
think we already expect to paint it out, obviously. They're gonna have a conference room now. They're gonna have a conference room. That's exciting. They have counselors that are in closets.
Right,
I mean, literally in closets. They're gonna have actual offices. So no matter how you slice it, they're gonna be in better shape.
are they
And
moving walls and stuff?
I don't, we haven't gotten that far in the
Okay,
conversation.
okay.
It may not be necessary.
All right,
I think they have a lot of pretty usable space because they're still gonna have downstairs.
right.
So
And maybe these are things we can talk about if Jason has any money in his budget at the end of the year as we're approaching.
Oh, that's-
Maybe we try to take it off like piecemeal a little bit and take a little bit of money that if you know, has leftover money in his budget towards the end of the year, okay, let's identify, put out an RFP if there's something, or, you
Sure.
know, what we want to take on.
So I talked to Jude a little bit about getting somebody over here to take a look at the space to kind of give us a rough estimate. I don't think, I mean, some of the spaces are very large up there. There will have to be some sheet rock and some construction. I don't think you're talking huge dollar amounts. The bigger things would be is like getting offices with computers and those kinds of things, the technology that has to go up there and things we have to move around here. That's going to be, you know, we're Robin and Jude getting involved because we have that kind of stuff's gonna be a little more tricky. But I agree, take like we did last year, taking a look at what we have left in some of our lines and see what we can do, and that'd be great.
All right, thank you.
Just to be clear, is there a potential opportunity for us to use this money to renovate that space? Or you kind of suggested that we didn't fall into the proper category.
Again, you can do anything with lost revenue, but you gotta take away from where it's allocated essentially for the new building at a lost revenue. So that's, I don't think, outside of lost revenue expenditure category from treasury, I don't think that those renovations would count towards any other expenditure category.
It doesn't make a whole lot of difference to me whether it comes from the new building or to the renovation that's gonna be needed to be done in the for corrections to, you know, reallocate that space. So, I mean, it all benefits the taxpayer for us to use this one place or the other.
Right.
I just don't want to be like in a position where we need renovations and we don't have a budgeted line for that.
It's gonna be a little hard to, I mean, what you're saying is we have to obligate that money at the end of this year for space that they're gonna be, the sheriff's department's still using. And I mean, like, and it's
For
not gonna
another
be
year.
ready for another year. So it's a little difficult to obligate and have a full sense of it. I think, like I said, if we take it piecemeal, see if we can use a little bit out of money Jason may have remaining in his budget at the end of the year. And then we could talk about, as we're doing the next year's budget, if, you know, there's capital improvement projects, put it as a specific capital improvement project where we can say, hey, this is what we're gonna need in this capacity.
All right, that sounds good to me. Any other discussion on that? All right, let's move on to the Harvey warrant.
I move to approve the September twelfth, 2024 accounts payable warrant P250308 payable to Harvey Construction Corporation in the amount of $3,395,955.57 as recommended by the Senior Director of Facility Planning and IT and Senior Director of Finance.
Second,
Okay, any discussion on this?
no, pretty comprehensive.
I have some discussion.
Shocker.
Chuck, I know that you explained to me the liability insurance portion, that it's a percentage of something. I'm not sure that I understand where that percentage comes out of. But is there a special provision in the contract for liability insurance?
Yes, for the GMP, there's like 4 different fee types that are set as a percentage.
And
There's,
that's allocated within that contract.
yes, for the GMP, it's actually states the percentages there. And then what ends up happening is that on the regular completed work, that's where there's like a 0.895% GL insurance allocation. Then what happens is that when there's completed work done on change orders, then there's a separate math done on the change order itself as well for GL insurance, for CM fee, construction management fee. There's a set allocation divided out by the number of anticipated billings for the software license piece. And then off of any change orders, it's a 0.14% allocation for software license fee. The CM fee, whether it's regular completed work or change order, that's 2.25%.
So this month, we're paying $37,000 for this.
Right, I mean, it's,
Last month it was $1,500.
yeah, because if you were well, No, the amounts change. I think the 1,500 you might have been looking at might have been off of a change order.
You
Because
probably
if you
will.
look at the detailed listing, there's probably multiple listings of GL insurance, multiple listings of CM fee, because again, the change orders were completed. They do this, the four, if it applies, four different fee calcs. And GL insurance and the CM fee will always apply to all of those change order types.
And so does this money actually go to an insurance company? Do we know like what insurance company, or is this money that we just
I don't know.
hand over to Harvey and they just go and
It's-
buy insurance as they see fit?
They have to acquire insurance to cover what the estimated costs of the job are.
Right.
So we may not see the actual premium or whatever, because it's probably one policy that's covering whatever number of projects. I don't think they probably just. do
It's just
separate
an
policy on
allocation.
their own. Yes, and that's a normal thing in the industry.
All right, I better understand that. Thank you for the clarification. The other issue that I would like to, we spent about $5,000 in HERC rentals. Do you have any idea what we rented?
The lifts, the man lifts that they're using, you can see them all around the
Yeah.
building. Those are.
Yeah, there's a lot more now with all the equipment being lifted
There's
up.
like
and
4 or
over
5.
through.
Yeah, see how
Just
tall
yeah.
those roof lines are? Gotta get the
Yep.
materials up there.
So we
Sorry.
we don't have the receipts on that. They just put it through.
Not those ones. If it was like winter, something related to winter conditions or some other conditions,
Yeah.
then yes, we would have them.
This is like toilets.
But there's definitely more going on. Actually, it's kind of interesting watching them deliver some of those things,
I
the
know.
openings.
Oh, yeah, because they put them through the windows.
Uh-huh.
I know.
Space.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's incredible.
yeah.
Those people, the people that operate, so I'm like,
Finesse,
seriously,
Yeah.
it's incredible,
fun to watch.
incredible.
Okay, well, we don't have receipts on it, but I understand where the money is going. Any further discussion? Commissioner Coyle,
Yes,
Commissioner Chercello,
Abstain.
abstain? I'm voting no. Because I don't have the receipts that I've been asking for.
is there a reason?
Yeah, yes, I think it's supposed to give a reason for
Your
abstention.
abstention.
I haven't really read everything through, so
Well, would you like to table it for a week?
no, I'll change my motion to yes.
Okay. That's allowed, so Commissioner Coyle is a yes, Commissioner Chercello
Yes.
is a yes, and I'm a no. Okay, move on to
A lot of heads move.
human resources.
I was like, if you need more time, then, yeah, good, we'll move on. I move to approve an exception request to personnel policy regarding earned time use for a long-term care services employee JM as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources and Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
Second.
Discussion,
Just that I think that this is worthy of a, exception request, especially where we have individuals helping out, doing overtime and extra hours, that the least we can do is approve these types of exception requests in this instance.
agreed. Anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Commissioner Chercello,
Yes,
Commissioner Coyle,
I'll vote for Commissioner Churchill as well.
Should read my mind.
and I vote yes. All right. Next, revised hiring grids.
I move to, adopt the 5-year, 5 revised hiring grids as outlined in the memo from Human Resources dated September 12th, 2024 for fiscal year 2025, effective July 1st, 2024, as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Any discussion on the hiring grid?
Only that it's great to see some of these adjustments being made, which will hopefully just help us in our recruiting.
Retention and recruitment.
I'm good.
All right. Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
And I vote yes. Wage adjustments for per diem employees.
I move to approve wage adjustments for 3 per diem employees identified in the memo from Human Resources dated September 12th, 2024, with an effective date of September 22nd, 2024, as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just for pointing out that the purpose of this is to help with compression issues. So, more equity.
Okay, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
Commissioner Chercello?
Yes,
And I vote yes. All right, moving to term care services, Boston Care Transport Agreement.
I move to approve the Boston Care Transport LLC agreement, authorize the acting chair to sign all necessary documents.
second,
Discussion.
So where did we land? Primex makes those recommendations. Where did we land on?
They accepted them all.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Yeah.
So they were, I saw they were
Yep, so,
written into the contract and they've accepted and
they've
gonna sign that.
that has, they've adapted and implemented all of the changes mentioned by
Very
Ryan.
And
Where's that day?
will we get a certification of insurance from
Yes.
them?
Yep, we'll have one on file, so they'll provide that at the time as well.
All right, I'm good then.
and they have a physical location, not a condo. in
No,
Derry.
they have a condo in Derry at 5 something,
Yeah.
so,
So
you
that's
know,
great.
I know that it's an agency we've been using, but one of the benefits of the contract is that it locks us in at, a cost, so that we're not gonna have continuing costs, with transportation.
I just get a little nervous with the LLCs because there's limited liability and
Right.
anyway, it is what it is.
But they adopted all of Primex's liability changes, so we're
Yeah.
good.
yeah, that's the part that makes me feel comfortable, that they're not resisting that. And if they're providing the service that you're happy with, then, we'll just, the fact that they don't have very fancy office space or any at all is of less concern.
I mean, it means that they're keeping, that's how you can get
Keeping
more
expenses.
expenses down. It
Right.
means they can have more competitive, rates.
All right, great. Then, in that case, we'll vote on that motion. Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Chercello?
Yes,
And I vote yes. Community Social Club funds request.
I move to approve the use of social club funds for a cookout for the club members for an amount not to exceed $400 as requested by the life enrichment manager.
second,
Discussion?
I just have a quick discussion piece. It's nothing major. I'm just kind of curious as to why we have to approve money that the residents actually kind of control, you know? Why is it? I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna say no, but I'm just saying, it's just kind of odd that they have control of their own money and they can spend it the way they see it.
Well, it's not the fiduciary account. This is a special revenue
Right.
fund. That is one of the county's funds.
Okay,
And that's why they can propose things.
Yeah.
But it's brought forward, and then what will happen too is that when the actual expenditure occurs, there'll actually be a special revenue fund, AP warrant. That will be on a future BOC list as
Okay,
well
all right.
for approval.
Right.
For the same reason the delegation has to approve our money.
Right. Okay, so on the motion, Commissioner Chercello,
Yes,
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Department head updates. Start with Allison.
Hello, it's Allison Kimikoski, Senior Director of Human Resources. We have sent out the evaluations for October. We still have some evaluations that are overdue for July and August, and we need to get those in because it does have a impact on the payroll side for proration and having to do all those calculations each week a pay cycle goes by. So if you could get those outstanding ones in, I'll be contacting those departments individually to ask that you get those over by a certain date. Retiree involvement, we've had a little bit of an increase, which is nice since we held our event this past summer for them. Just some questions that don't typically come up about their benefits, missing ID cards, people are moving, so that's been kind of nice. We have held some electrician interviews that have gone on this week. Thank you to Autumn getting those done and Jude having the availability on that. So there's been a very quick turnaround on that. We have the annual Scarecrow event is underway. We have a couple of the prepackaged stuff for the departments here that they can take with them today. And for those that don't, the Department of Corrections Sheriff's Office will get those deliveries today. And we appreciate all your help on that. We're developing the communication and rollout for the annual flu clinic and COVID vaccinations. We have a meeting today on that. I will be hosting a supervisory harassment and anti-discrimination retaliation training on site next week, attorney led by attorney Jennifer Mockle from Sheehan Finney Bass and Green. We've identified some folks in the supervisory realm that have not attended. And we are going to host another one and get everybody in. There's just a residual of about 9 people that we'd like to get through that process and have it completed next week. We also have just, as you probably heard, COEH, Exeter Hospital on the ambulance service type of thing.
Right.
I did get a call from the director of the COEH, which is a contracted service for us here for Auck Health. There are some other services that are now being notified that they're not gonna continue in the community for New Hampshire. I have a meeting on Monday with them to talk about what that looks like for us. COEH provides contractual services for occupational health. And they have EAP services, which we have on site, but this is just the beginning of a rollout overall for many services that they are changing over.
So does that breach the contract that we have with them?
There's a 90-day clause in all contracts that they did, so I have to get behind closed doors with them on Monday, and so we've set that meeting up pretty quickly to talk about what they're telling us and what that means to us. So report on Thursday, but I just wanted to let you know, there is more happening with this merger. And it's gonna have an impact of a number of departments and other services that are out throughout the state. And we're just starting to hear the tip of it between the ambulance service, now COEH, which is a derivative of Exeter Hospital. They do the occupational health for many, many clients throughout the state and have on-site services as well as on-site to them services. So,
If you don't mind.
Yes.
I was gonna bring this up under new business, but since we're on this topic,
Yeah.
it's relevant.
Right.
So I did see that news and I have some concerns obviously about that, the level of service, but I just want to be, I just want to discuss, I have it's a relative of my wife's who works in, one of the towns up north, Concord, Loudon, an ambulance service, and, he reached out to me and said that there is a group, of people that may reach out to Rockingham County, and by the way, I won't be here when that happens, but I'll get into that in under new business, but I just want you to be aware that there's a group that will be coming to the Rockingham County to discuss the possibility of doing what Cheshire County did and running its own ambulance service, so just giving you a heads up that may be coming down the pike. Because you're seeing private ambulance service like Trinity having a hard time, and so you may get some pressure coming your way that they feel that because Cheshire was a model where they had to actually bring ambulance service to that county, we may get the pressure to do that, so I just wanted to share that.
so I'll have that meeting on Monday and I'll apprise the board of what the outcome of that is in the contract and stuff.
So that's specifically for Health Hawk that we have
It
here.
is for our pre-employment, drug screen, physicals, workers' comp, they also do just wellness for our employees so that they don't have to incur their expense on their deductible. I got pink eye, I got a sore throat, some of those things so that they don't have to have that deductible hit their insurance. If it's just a low hanging health issue, we provide that to them.
So they're essentially backing out of the contract?
That's-
They are closing the whole unit. COEH is no longer gonna be,
No transport.
there's gonna be nothing.
And what's our plan B?
Our plan B is I'm getting behind closed door on Monday and figuring out what
They're
we're
down.
gonna be doing. We have had Concentra for over about 25 years, and then we ended up transferring to COEH, who put it out to bid. It was more of a community-based type of thing. So we've been with COEH since 2015, 2016. So it's been a long time that we've had them there. So I do know of other companies, but there's other things to explore independently of that, which I started, once I got the call yesterday, I started to make some phone calls, so
All
I
right,
just wanted to.
we'll look
let you
forward
know.
to hearing your update. Or maybe not looking forward.
It's like, I called Julie and I said, we get on a good rhythm here, and then
Correct.
something kind of implodes. But we've dealt with stuff like this before with vendors and stuff, so we're just gonna have to
Yeah.
button down and figure out a plan of action.
Very good.
Thank you.
Chuck?
Chuck Nickerson, Senior Director of Finance, just on top of what Allison said. So there's a little silver lining, I guess I'll give to that, that as far as COEH services, those ones that we utilize, those are under the workers' comp internal service fund. So it's not necessarily an impact, because of the good reserves we have in the workers' comp fund. As far as, any immediate impact or maybe even future impact to the general fund. So that's good news. There's some flexibility there to, take on those additional expenses or what have you. Let's see, grants, been busy in Grantland, been working on the new JAG grant. So Molly's been working with and getting information from Catherine Mann, so thank you, Catherine. And then, Molly will be following up on that EV charger grant as well. Again, just busy with other SLFRF items, or opera items. Very busy with the Medicaid cost support, 'cause that deadline is the end of this month, that it has to be in HSS hands. That helps determine our Medicaid rate as well, so it's a big thing for us. It also helps determine, what we will get back, for ProShare, as far as, for coming up at the end of next year. And then, there is a little bit of an issue with rental assistance one funds with Treasury. Yes,
The
Commissioner
audit?
Fischel knows. Well, what happened was, we're allowed to have 10% under ERA one to be admin
Yeah.
expenses. What ended up happening is that because of the clawbacks, our ending admin amount ended up being more than 10%.
Because we didn't know we were gonna get money clawed back.
Right, and
Right.
we needed to actually set up our own rental assistance system from scratch.
Right,
Since we were not able to partner up with SNHS to actually run our program.
so we had more admin costs than the average there. 'cause
Yes,
we-
now Treasury.
Yeah.
Keeps on citing us that we're over, but there's an exception that if you can prove that the admin expenses were necessary and vital to the delivery of the program, which obviously it was.
Right,
Without the court charges, which comprise about, I think it was like or $500,000, $660,000 of admin expenses, we don't have a program.
and we were, we used more and kept more of ERA one than the state even.
Yeah.
The state got more clawed back of ERA one, and we kept our program going longer than any,
Yes, we kept ours longer than the state,
State,
especially
the
area
state's
two,
program.
yeah.
right, so.
And it would have gone longer, but the state was able through the feds to clause of our area two fund.
Yeah, they clawed it back and gave it to the state.
They reimbursed themselves.
Yeah, so, I guess to the extent that we're saying, listen, we were really helping people,
Right.
we were, comparatively helped
Yes.
a lot more people.
So it comes through as an official IDR, information document request. So this is like the fourth one I think I've answered, and it's kind of broken record, but it's the same things. And so this time I uploaded as part of the response, all of the Uncork invoicing.
Mhm.
And I also gave them all the Robert Half invoicing as well, because obviously it takes people
That
to
was
run the
Joe,
program as
right?
well. Yes,
Joe.
for Joe Walsh. And so right there, that supports over 600,000 or so, I think of the 660 of admin expenses. So we'll see what
Where that
Treasury
goes.
comes back with this time. So they did ask about single audits and we have had problems. Again, we cannot perform our own single audits. We cannot perform our own financial statement audits because it has to be done by an audit firm. And we have had issues with our firm that we've engaged with, which is the only one that responded to the audit services RFP last time around, and there's less and less firms doing audits, never mind governmental audits in the state of New Hampshire.
And I
And
think sorry to interrupt, historically, that's the only firm we've been able to.
Right, and we've had
That's
problems with this firm because, again, we've had staffing issues here, especially for corrections and nursing. Well, the audit industry is, public sector auditing firms are having a horrible time as well. And so what ends up happening is you have, not surprising, consolidation going on. So Lansing, who the original contract was with, got taken over by Markham LP. And now words come out not that long ago that Markham is being taken over by CBiz or something like that, which would make them be part of like one of the top 10 firms in the country. The problem is, do we become a smaller fish in that bigger
Right.
pond, I guess?
So they're gonna just have a sector within the company that does government audits.
Yes,
That's not gonna be that financially,
that'll be the rationale. Oh, we have more
Yeah.
resources, more governmental pool of resources to
Yeah.
help complete these audits, but again, with all the federal funds, so many other entities, school districts, whatever, that never had to have a single audit, have had to have a single audit now. Because that triggers $150,000 of funds. And lots of entities
That's
got way
crazy.
more than that from ARPA and other federal CARES Act or whatever. So require single audit. So we've been constantly, bothering the auditors for updates. So Treasury does have an issue with, single audits not completed yet, but again, we cannot do them ourselves. It can be done by an independent firm. If we could do them ourselves,
you
they'd be
would-
done already.
right,
In fact, I think the audit firm was already given the 2024 CFO, which is the Schedule of Expenditure of Federal Awards already, which is a starting point for the single audit. So,
there's nothing more we can do on our end. We
Yeah.
just have to wait our turn in line.
yes, I'm sure that there's many other, governmental entities or even nonprofits are in the same boat that they're still waiting for their single audits to be completed as well. So we're working out issues with Treasury. Just a reminder for those that are on the HAC Executive Committee, there is a emergency meeting at 1 p.m. this Friday by Zoom. Carmelli is dealing with I think it's the Holiday Inn Hotel contract. Because every other year, the HAC puts on a legislative, like educational meeting or seminar for newly elected representatives to the House or to the Senate. Obviously, any returning ones can attend as well. And so that's scheduled to happen, I believe, that's in November as well. That's the HBC conference, so, but that's in Concord as far as where that would be held. And that's all I have, as busy as usual.
Okay, Chantel.
Good morning, I'm Chantel Jaconin. I am the Senior Director for Long-Term Services. I am just finishing up, I should be done this week, the one-to-one meetings with all of my leadership team. I've started to either have meetings scheduled or completing with some of the other directors as well to kind of learn those pieces. We've had a lot of wonderful things for Assisted Living Week that Kendra and her team has done. That's been great. Old cars, some towels and different colors, doggy film. The center, or the facility held a tribute, in remembrance of 9/11, which was beautiful. And we cleared our COVID outbreak effective yesterday. So we currently have no residents and 3 staff officers.
That's great.
So when do we get to take the masks off?
No, I knew that would come. So, though we've cleared outbreak, it's something that Michelle and I are looking at. There's still a mask requirement for healthcare, depending on the community, outside of the facility and the metric in which it has to be followed. So we want to assure that we are following it, perfectly. So we will hopefully have an answer for you very soon.
Look forward to that, really.
And
I'm
that is
sure
all
a
I
lot-
have.
Other people more than us, right? I mean,
Oh, they're here all day, every day,
Right.
sure.
Yeah, it's like community transmission is
Yeah.
a factor. If it's like above a certain threshold, you have to stay masked even. with free status.
We have already started the discussion with that.
Excellent. Michelle,
Yeah, no, just to add to that too, what we're finding is when we're looking for our resources out in the community to use as that guide for our masking, we're finding that, the average person in the community is not seeking medical care. So they're not getting to the hospitals, which is where the numbers are then calculated and shared. So we're finding that the values in the community wastewater testing is extremely high, but yet these people aren't being reported elsewhere. So it does show that there is a high community spread, but nobody's seeking that treatment, so they're not getting counted. So even the numbers that we would use to guide us aren't really gonna be accurate, I don't believe. So, but yeah, like Chantel said, we're gonna find a resource that we can use, because in the past, CDC put out, you know, a number, and it was easy, you clicked on it, and if you were high, you were in masks. It's not so regulated anymore that way, so, more to come on that, but, and then we sort of talked about the AccuShield, I wanted to mention that, but we have, the AccuShield check-ins,
What
a
is
lot
that?
of
I didn't hear you.
The AccuShield check-in,
The check-in.
AccuShield?
Kiosk.
Oh, the
Kiosk, yeah.
check-in.
The kiosk,
thing.
yeah.
That's good.
a lot of facilities have stopped using that. We do have a contract, with the vendor, and it's been paid through, I believe, through the end of the year. So we're thinking about maybe revisiting, not using that anymore and transitioning to more, surveillance processes like other facilities are using, but still meet regulatory standards. That's that on that. Nursing is, busy next week. We're doing our skills fair, which I mentioned last week, but it kicks off next week. And, that meets a lot of regulatory, skills for the nurses and a lot of education across the board for all county staff. So that'll be a big event going on next week.
Very good, thank you. Kendra?
Good morning, everyone. Kendra Mayall, General Manager of Ernest P. Barca Assisted Living. Like Chantel said, Assisted Living Week is happening, so our residents are very excited, very happy. Our big event will be on Friday at 2 p.m. We have an awards ceremony for our residents. We give out superlatives, do hors d'oeuvres, welcome families, so everyone is welcome to attend. Everyone's really looking forward to that. And our COVID numbers are 0, so we have no active residents and no active staff.
Okay.
Michelle and I chatted a little bit yesterday, and just for, knowledge for our residents, families, vendors, we will follow suit with long-term care. As far as masking, as we are connected in the buildings, we want to assure people and make sure our residents understand, no confusion. If we're not in mask and long-term care is, it causes some confusion for them. So we'll just continue to follow suit, and wait for guidance from Michelle and Chantel on that.
Okay, great. Julie, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Julie Hoyt, HR Manager. Hello, everybody. No, I don't. Thank
Very good. Jude, your turn.
Good morning, Jude Gates, Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT. We are, very busy as usual, all's well. We have a lot of work going on in multiple buildings. You probably heard the asbestos abatement happening across the street on the flooring. Across the hallway here, that's the grinding noise that you've heard on again, off again. We have once a year, we are at the high lift, a 90-foot lift. We're taking care of some high pole lights down at the jail. Some of the Christmas lights on one of the admin building trees are being damaged by the lights. We're gonna take lights off of one of those trees so that we can redo them. Delegation walls demo should be starting tomorrow. They came yesterday for one last look. We're expecting them to come tomorrow. As soon as they're done, we'll get the HVAC guys in behind them. Cheryl's been very, very flexible for us. She's working from home until we tell her she can come back. We're redoing the ramp to the building at the same time. So we just have a lot going on. The HR painting job is coming along very nicely. So I'm sure there'll be a fun open house when you're ready to show it off. Other than that, all's well.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Layla, anything that we need to remind everybody of, like annual reports and stuff?
Of course. Thank you to the Department of Corrections for turning in their annual report. So now we have 4. And I'm also getting a lot of requests from organizations, local organizations, for ARPA money. They're all requesting ARPA money for their own projects. So thank you to Chuck and all of you for going through all that explanation. I can just send them the minutes when the next request comes in.
Okay, great. All right, Pat.
Morning, everybody. Things are going pretty well at the county attorney's office. Unfortunately, COVID is ripping through my office right now, and I have it among a bunch of other people. But we're doing okay regardless. We're, getting through everything. But it's been a bit of a challenge. Just in terms of Layla just brought up local, organizations looking for ARPA money. I did send the commissioners, I think Layla and Chuck, an email regarding Haven. They are building a shelter in Portsmouth for, families and victims of domestic violence. They're looking for donations or money. I'm not sure if there is money available, if I should ask them to attend a Board of Commissioners meeting, if it's worth it. I don't know, but I did want to put that in your ear. I think it's a worthy cause. We see a lot of victims in the county attorney's office who don't have anywhere to go. And I know from experience, just working with victims of domestic violence, that many times they stay in an abusive relationship because they don't have anywhere to go. So I think it's definitely a worthy cause, and I'm not sure what the process is, but I did want to put a bug in everybody's ear about it. Additionally, I also wanted to bring up, as we move closer to moving into the new building, which I'm really excited about, and everybody is in my office, and I've discussed this with some of the commissioners before, we are looking to have a satellite office in the courthouse. When we have trials and things like that, where we're there for, multiple days, all day, every day, 24/7, and we're dealing with victims and witnesses who come in to testify. We really need a space to do some work there. So I will be talking further with you all about that, but I did want to kind of put a bug in your ear about it. So that's it for me.
So that would be for next year's budget,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Well, I
And
guess it
Chuck-
depends on when we move into the building. So,
Right.
yeah.
Until next June.
and Chuck, would you weigh in? Are there any categories that we have available to help Haven?
So, yes, there's definitely a project that would be for housing for displaced persons. But again, that 508,000 is the pool that's left to go to, non-lost revenue projects. And as far as quickly on the courthouse lease, it does expire in April, so we probably have to get in contact with the state of what kind of like month-to-month lease
Yeah.
is gonna happen, because maybe June or July is moving, it may not be,
Right.
so
Yeah.
there should be more like through September, or again, a month-to-month and like 60-day window
Month to
to
month, I would say is a good way to go.
60-day cancellation, I don't know.
Yes, usually month to month is like a 30-day cancellation, so we could, if we have to incur an extra month while we transition, which probably makes sense, or even 2 months, but
And then obviously any, time experience present still in the courthouse would be another
yes,
separate consideration.
yes.
I just have,
Commissioner
I just have a quick question, because Pat mentioned, satellite space, so my question is actually for Kathy. Because we know that there's rooms down there for real estate closings, I just don't know how much is utilized, are they still doing closings, at the courthouse? They're
No.
not,
No,
so can we, is that an opportunity for us to use, I mean, how much space are you looking to do, Pat?
Certainly nothing like we have now, just enough space for probably about 4 attorneys to, have like a station to sit with their, their laptop, their screen or whatever. A printer or 2, a copy machine probably.
They have 3 separate rooms for closings, but my.
And they have rooms I'm sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt,
no,
but they
no.
have rooms upstairs in the courthouse. I mean, like, I guess, that are utilized by attorneys all the time, those conference rooms on each floor. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 conference rooms on each floor.
but you need to remember, those conference rooms are for really everybody who's coming in with defendants and so on and so forth. Pat's talking about, for example, I've already given her 2 of the offices that were closing rooms that she has set up as offices outside of my office. That to
Right.
me, is what we're talking about, because really, I mean, how much time are they gonna be spending there? I mean, obviously, I know they're gonna need, they're gonna have their computers, but they definitely have to need some type of printer, that type of stuff. I mean, but those offices right out here, those should suffice. Those ones that were the closing rooms, those should suffice. There's
Yeah, I think that they would, and to Commissioner Coyle's point, I do understand that there's conference rooms, but they are, heavily utilized by folks, and I just would never want to be in a position where we don't have a space to put a victim who doesn't want to see, for instance, a family member who is, angry with them for reporting sexual abuse. We always try to keep them separate from the rest of the folks at trials. There's all different factors that play into it. And we like to give them sort of a safe place to sit during breaks, during lunch, where they know they're not going to run into the perpetrator or the perpetrator's family and or friends. So it would be for that reason as well. But we definitely need a space for, like I said, a printer, maybe a telephone, a copy machine, things like that, because things come up during trial. Where right now we're very fortunate because we can just run downstairs and get it. But once we have the great office in our new building, we're not going to have that anymore. So we're not looking for a ton of space. But I think, whether it's 2 or 3 of those closing rooms downstairs, I think that would be super helpful. So, and again, I can put it on the agenda and we can talk about it further. But I just did want to bring it up, since we're nearing the end, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
I need to take a break. Can we take a very brief recess, please? Okay, we're back from recess and we'll continue with Sheriff's Department. But maybe we'll move on to Registry of Deeds.
Good
Yeah.
morning. We had another big transfer in Rye, New Hampshire, another cash deal, $2.8 million. I don't know where these people are getting this money. But obviously, property transfers are booming in Rye, New Hampshire, I can tell you that. The only other question, I know that Chuck happened to mention about the meeting tomorrow for NHAC. Is there a way to get, I know you guys just voted on the revised hiring grids. Is that stuff that we can see what that is, please? Because I mean, obviously, I'd like to know what's going on as an elected official with the department as to what's going on with hiring grids. Other than that, that's all I had to report. Thank you so much.
All right, Jason.
Good morning, everybody. Jason Henry, Superintendent, Rockingham County Jail. Let's see, a couple of things going on here. We're at 141 in-house. Tomorrow, the 123rd Academy is graduating, which I'll be down there because I am Master of Ceremonies, I guess is what my title is, doing the graduation. We have 5 new hires starting on next week, and then we have another 7 behind that in the pipeline to start. Not too far after we pass their different things. So again, hiring for us is going very well. So that's great what the county has done. We've been starting planning, looks like probably October 16th, a family night here. We used to do it in the past. We're offering tours for the staff's families, and check out some of our equipment that is used so their kids can come in and family members, that kind of stuff, and let them know about the jail. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Happy to announce that Tony Sherman, who is our pretrial corrections officer, he's a corporal over there, was just promoted to our investigator / compliance for sanitation and fire position, which works with us in conjunction with the Sheriff's Department. And thanks to the Sheriff's Department for Major Bashaw and Deputy Chief Sawyer, who sat on the interview with me. This is going to be, it's a new position. This is going to clean up a lot of our investigations and a lot of things we have going here that we haven't been in compliance with for a while, somebody to focus on. So I'm very excited about that. You mentioned about Exeter Hospital and their merger. Well, their ALS, Advanced Life Support, which is their paramedics, they're no longer going to have those either. And that is concerning for us when we have issues that happen inside the jail here with any medical issues. They would send somebody along that can do a higher level of care compared to an EMT. So now my medical department is scrambling, calling other towns who may have paramedics, and not every town has them, not every town is full-time either. So, that's it's too bad because that early life support saving measures is, again, is crucial. So we are scrambling and finding out what resources are out there and working on that well on our end too. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, then we'll move to the sheriff's department. Catherine?
Good morning, Catherine Mann, Senior Office Administrator for the Sheriff's Office. As Chuck Nickerson had mentioned, I'm working with Molly on the new JAG grant that just came out. Portsmouth and Derry have been allocated some funding, so we'll be getting that before you over the next few weeks to meet our deadline in October. Working with the towns right now, we just got their application out to them for them to apply to us, so we can submit that on their behalf. So this will be a great experience for Molly. This is her first go around with the JAG grant, so it'd be good for her. Other than that, business as usual here. Thank you.
Can I just ask about the earmark from Congressman Pappas's office that we were able to acquire? How's that moving through?
Sure, so that was submitted back in July. We have not heard back from the COPS office yet. So we're still kind of watching and waiting for a response back from them.
Okay, thank you, Catherine.
Okay, great. Thanks for that update. I think that concludes our department head updates. Does anybody have new business or old business that they would like to discuss? Commissioner Chercello?
Yeah, thank you. Just want to congratulate Commissioner Godu and Tom Tombarello, who will be the new commissioners come January, on their campaigns. It was a little bittersweet for me, but looking back, I realized that I've been part of the county for 13 years, and I'm like, I can't remember that far back, but either as delegation member or a commissioner, so. I am so proud of the people here at the county. You all do a fantastic job. I will be able to do some traveling, which I'm looking forward to. And probably take care of some of my health stuff, which I'm looking forward to as well. So I want to thank everybody that I've been associated with. I feel that I made a difference, and the county's a better place. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other new business or?
I just thank you for your nice words, and obviously, we've got a lot done as a board, and we wish you, the best in the next chapter and future endeavors. As I like to say, a door closes, a window opens, so
Yeah.
who knows what will be next.
I'm here till January, just
Yeah.
to let you know. I got a couple more months.
All right, good. We'll look forward to having you still with us. Okay, then we'll move into public comment. And we have Commissioner-elect Tom Tombarello here. Do you have a comment that you would like to share with us, Tom?
Before he starts, I just have to ask him a question. Is he a Dallas Cowboy fan? I'm trying to find out what that star's all about.
No, what happened is somebody went to Dallas that liked me and brought it back, and I said, I'm gonna wear it. I'm going to the Patriots. I'm going to the Patriots on Sunday. I can promise you when I go there Sunday, I won't be wearing this shirt.
No self-respect in New Hampshire.
Have a good day, everybody. Just real briefly, I wasn't going to say anything, but I remember Brian as a young kid being on the as a state rep and really helping us on the executive committee. And it's unfortunate with House Bill 54. We all know, and we knew something was going to happen. Brian, you did a great job, and you should be real proud of what you did. And you're a big inspiration for that building. And you'll be there to cut the ribbon. You'll be there. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Tom.
Very good.
Just one more quick, I will say one quick thing. It's kind of funny that for those who know my wife's an introvert and I'm an extrovert, so that's how it works. I'll be married 40 years in April. I will say that she was surprised that I didn't win my election. I'm used to winning, but there always comes a time when you lose, and that's part of the whole thing. My wife is so happy. She wants to thank you, Steve, because now I get to spend more time with her.
And no regrets.
Yeah, I used to tell the joke that my wife kept saying, if you run one more time, I'm gonna divorce you, and I keep running and she's still with me, so, but anyway, that's.
Well, congratulations to your wife. You get more of your time.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
She'd still like you for 40
Yeah.
years. Which is really something remarkable to say about anybody.
Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to move into our non-public session.
So moved.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay, we're in non-public. Thank you very much, everyone. We're back from our non-public session, and Commissioner Coyle has some motions or a motion for us.
Yes, we had one non-public session. The first one, I moved to seal the minutes indefinitely. Actually, I moved to seal the minutes, not indefinitely, but until July 1st, 2025, because it could render a proposed action ineffective.
Second.
Any other discussion on that? Commissioner Chercello?
Yes,
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
I move to adjourn.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.